gonna say something. Yeah, my mom is sitting here. And Natasha introduced my husband for me as well, but I just feel the need to give a disclaimer because he's a Navy veteran. I love him, and as she said, I'm Army. Go back. Yeah, I'm very passionate about working with veterans, as Natasha said, both female and male. And I think it's something that's just in me. Not only am I a veteran, but I'm a dependent of a veteran. My father's a Vietnam vet. My granddad served in World War II, and I'm a spouse of a veteran. As I said, my husband served active duty Navy, is currently in the Navy Reserves, and is an Iraq veteran. So it's something that's very endearing to me. I'm very humbled to stand before you all, and before I start speaking, I just want to thank you for being here. You all look really beautiful, and it is just really an honor. When Miss Dottie Simpson asked me to speak, my first response was that I'm not qualified. You know, I could honestly think of people who are more deserving or have more interesting stories to share, more inspirational than myself. And I don't like to be in the spotlight, but nonetheless, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for women of color who have served. And along with that, I do often separate myself, although I am engaged in many activities throughout the community to help women veterans and veterans in general. I often tend to separate myself as being a veteran myself. And as I started to think about that and speaking today, I actually felt ashamed because I don't know why that is. It could be because often our stories are forgotten, and the significance of the roles that we played in the military have been overlooked. And on that note, I would like to say that women have always been part of the military. And I don't intend to bore you with the history lesson, but I do want to say a little bit about the past contributions of women in the military. Currently, they make up 15% of the total armed forces, and African American women make up 19% of the total women's veteran population. During the Revolutionary War, African American women served as spies who kept colonial authorities informed about the activities of the British. As Natasha mentioned, that was also a time when they often dressed up as men and actually fought side by side. During the Civil War, black women's services include nursing, domestic chores, laundry, and cooking for soldiers. The Union Army paid black women to raise cotton on plantations for the Northern government to sell. During the Spanish War, African American women continued to serve as nurses during the outbreak of typhoid and yellow fever. They were said to be immune from these diseases due to their dark-colored skin. World War I brought about much advancement for African American women nurses in the military. Most notably, black nurses from the National Association of Colored Graduate Nurses were allowed to enroll in the American Red Cross in support of the war. During World War II, Army opened its nurse corps to the African American women, and black women were also allowed to enlist in the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, which is referred to as the WAC, since the time it was created. Black women continued to serve in the Korean conflict and the Vietnam War. In addition to their responsibilities with the Auxiliary Corps, they were allowed to take on office positions during that time as well. 40% of the women that served during Desert Storm were African American women. They were officers, non-commissioned officers, and enlisted. They endured the same primitive conditions that our men did. And today, women account for 10% of the strength in Iraq and Afghanistan. More jobs have opened up to women, allowing us to take infantry positions, work as engineers, truck drivers, pilots, and weapons experts. And we've also joined the fallen and the injured as a result. So I say all that to say that the contributions of women and black women have been vast. and it's something for us to be proud of. However, I will add that these contributions didn't come without cost. During all of this, we have had to endure racial and gender discrimination. And the women of the past endured grave havoc that paved the way for us today. We still have a long way to go. As women, we serve as the backbone of our families. Many black women have left their jobs, families, husbands, children, communities, to answer the call to war for our country. Yet our stories are often untold. And just to elaborate on that, as we serve, our families serve with us, which is why I appreciate my husband and my mom being here. I recall when I was in Afghanistan, that was probably one of the longest years for my mother during that time. And so I appreciate the support that my family has continued to give me. Today, we celebrate these untold stories and take back our proud tradition. We represent those in wars of the past, present, and future. The first Black Military Women Appreciation Day is yet another triumph to add to our rich history. We have to keep this history growing by continuing to share our stories and reminding those that will join future ranks that they too have something to be proud of. As I go back to the theme that I was given for today, when I ask myself, what is my business? I realize that my business is your business. And our business is to be shared, celebrated, and remembered. I would like to share with you a quote from Brigadier General Hazel W. Johnson Brown. She was with the Marine Corps, the Army Nurse Corps, and she's the first Black general in the military. They had a groundbreaking ceremony for the women in military service for American Memorial, and this was in 1995. And during that time, and I quote, she said, "In the past, women, particularly minority women, have always responded when there was a crisis or need. We acknowledge all minority women in uniform, both present and not present. You are the strength of our success. You represent the patchwork quilt of diversity, which is America, race, creed, color, and ethnicity." That's all I have for today. Thank you so much.